You know, when I start writing Just Sayings, I always do so with a sense of hope. Yes, the world is shit and the problems are numerous. Times are trying and there's never enough money. And how could you not worry when arguably the most powerful man in the world apparently didn't realize that his job would be so hard? But hey, there's a lot to be happy about. Chocolate is a godsend. There are apparently over 2 million cat videos on the internet. And there is this.
Try again.
I am Groot. I am Groot.
Uh-huh.
I'm Groot.
No!
Yet this past week or so, I don't blame people for losing some of their faith in humanity, especially after the unfortunate passing of 11-year-old Mohammad Amin, who had to have his legs amputated after being beaten with a rubber hose by an assistant warden at his religious school. It has already been reported about extensively, so I won't go into the details. But it raised so many questions about the parents and the school and attracted a lot of international attention. Amid all the noise, UNICEF offered up what seems to be a very simple solution: ban corporal punishment in all schools, something our Human Rights Commission Suhakam also agreed with. Actually, when you think of it, it's kind of bad that physical punishment, which is what corporal punishment is by definition, still exists in schools. Maybe it's because it's what we all grew up with: spare the rod and spoil the child and all that. And all of us have memories of our mums scaring the living snot out of us by threatening us with the rotan whenever we misbehaved. However, as UNICEF points out, as cathartic as vengeance is, research they carried out has revealed that it doesn't really work. According to research, negative discipline is proven to be counterproductive and is proven just to beget more violence. Kids who are punished physically tend to become more depressed and aggressive and carry the scars with them into adulthood. And if you still don't believe me, how many of you internally flinched when I mentioned mums in the rotan? I'm right, aren't I? I won't lie. When parents sometimes let their kids run amok in movie theatres, airplanes and shopping malls, the urge to give them a good cuff around the ear is just too tantalizing to resist. But yeah, that's the easy way to do it. Positive discipline, which takes a little more work, not only teaches a child right from wrong, but it teaches them to treat others well and respects their dignity. When researching this piece, it surprised me to find out that while Malaysia is a signatory of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, it maintains its reservations on Article 37, which states that no child shall be subjected to torture or other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment. So hold the phone. None of those words sound any kind of good in any combination, right? Like classy Kardashian or Fire Festival. So why the reservation? Maybe if you look at it from a broader standpoint, in yet another case of monkey see, monkey do, we have become used to corporal punishment as a way to deal with bad people. Because after all, according to a 2011 report, Malaysia apparently holds the distinction of being the only Commonwealth country with a population of over 10 million people and a high level of human development that still canes. It was a leftover from the British colonial administration, but the Brits themselves have long abolished caning. So it appears that although we shook off some of our shackles of our colonial oppressors, we kept some of their more charming habits. Oh yes, and let us not forget that we kept the granddaddy of all corporal punishments, the death penalty. Most argue that corporal punishment is more than justified. After all, it can be seen as a major deterrent when it comes to crimes such as drug trafficking and murder. And it helps to protect the poor and the downtrodden, right? But the argument loses more than a little of its shine when you realize that since 2002, simply being an illegal immigrant could get you the cane. And that, as Amnesty International points out, the bulk of canings has been dealt out to refugees and migrant workers. However, this just brings it back to what I said earlier. Beyond just the vengeance, does corporal punishment really even work as a deterrent? Amnesty International says, no, there is no proof that even the death penalty works to stop crime any better than any other forms of punishment. Caning leaves people with a multitude of scars, both emotionally and physically. And yet there seems to be more than enough people wanting to take the job as caning official. You even get a bonus for the more strokes you deal out. Death sentences, though, once the deed is carried out, you can't take it back. While in Malaysia there's been no public cases of wrongful execution, in the US, studies have shown that at least 4% of those sitting on death row are most likely innocent. And this is the hard part, where we ask ourselves whether we would be okay with such a possibility when it comes to a person's life. Look, there is no easy answer. I can give you all the research in the world and I can at heart believe that corporal punishment is wrong. But like many of you, if it involved people close to me, would I still feel the same? And on the flip side, if that same person was sitting on the wrong side of those bars, would the feelings you hold right now change? We all can't honestly say, and we all honestly hope we will never have to. However, what I do think is that we should not stop discussing it and to keep finding a better way to build the mousetrap, so to speak, and not to just be okay with it simply because it's how it's always been done. Now, as depressing as all of that is, occasionally remind yourself that you do live in a world where this, thankfully, exists.
That's my underwear.
I'm Groot.
Let's just agree to never discuss this.
Just saying.